Beat, and powered by JM&E. The Takeover is also available via the BS3 network. I'm, of course, KG Chris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. And with me is KP Knichapulliams, and a brother who I missed, haven't seen in a while, but he's kind enough to join me and us to talk some Ohio State Buckeyes and other things. Brother Willie Gibson, how are you, sir?
Doing well, sir. Happy New Year to everybody. How's everybody? Mr. Phillips?
It's great to see you, man.
You as well.
So, but I'm happy to say it. I'm proud to say it. I'm relieved to say it. I'm trying to get other folks to be sponsors. But as always, salute to Miss Nakia Cooper of Bayou Beat News for supporting the Takeover. And Bayou Beat News, BayouBeatNews.com. Bayou Beat News, bringing that Southern love to your daily news coverage. Brother Gibson and Queen KP Knichapulliams, we are going to talk about this first part of the show. I'm flipping the script because usually I talk about my alma mater first. I'm not doing that today. Although they had a big win over Oklahoma State.
It could tie in.
But it will tie in. Might not be a good thing as a tie-in, but it will be a tie-in. Okay, Nitra. Okay. Today, Wednesday, NCAA approves paying women's basketball tourney teams. Women, and I love the fourth word, women's basketball teams finally will be paid for playing games in the NCAA tournament each March, just like the men have for years under a plan approved Wednesday at the NCAA convention in Nashville. The unanimous vote by NCAA membership, which was met by a round of applause, I guess that's good, was a final step toward a pay structure for women playing in March Madness after the Division I Board of Governors voted unanimously for the proposal in August. I'm going to stop right there and get more details momentarily. What are your thoughts on that? Ladies first, KP.
I mean, it's a shame that it took 44 years. How about 43 years for this to finally happen? Like, that's crazy. But it's, better late than never, much appreciated. But like, yeah, you talk about equity and investment and, we go back to, the COVID tournament and Sedona Prince, her expose about the inequities in the weight training and the workout facilities, men versus women. So yeah, about time.
Will?
Same. I agree wholeheartedly with that. Why it took this long, and as you said, the discrepancies and the weight room and the tournament in 2020 with that, inexcusable. And it's sad that even after that, it took some time for yesterday's vote to occur and for the women to finally get the units that the men get. So, I mean, I guess kudos to NCAA for finally making this happen, but far too long for it to happen.
Yeah, I mean, like, it was just recently that the women were granted the right to use March Madness to describe their tournament. So like it's like so unfair to put politely that the women's brand of basketball doesn't deserve the same branding, the same marketing, the same support that the men get. Come on.
I agree with both of you. And I'm going to say a couple of things. One, even the media snacks weren't the same. Weren't the same caliber. Okay. So, minute things like that, minutia like that wasn't the same. Wasn't up to par. The swag wasn't up to par. But I did not know this. I assumed, I've been privileged enough to cover it, the women's Final Four for a long time. I assumed that the teams got units up until like 4 years ago. I was like, they don't? I think Dawn State was the first coach to say it publicly. And I was like, huh? Say what?
Right.
So that bothered me. But Will and KP, but I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna be chauvinist, but from a different point of view. What bothers me for a long time is there are women NCAA vice presidents on committees. What were y'all doing?
Right.
Why
conference commissioners?
Yes. I don't understand why you were so silent for so long about this.
Agreed.
I mean, maybe they spoke up. They just didn't have the resounding support to get their ideas advanced and passed.
That's sad. It could be true. That's sad. I mean, Dawn Staley, Gina Auriemma,
sure,
Tara Vanderveer, the legends in the sport. This should have been because, I mean, I don't know everything. Obviously, I don't know a lot about women's hoops. I don't know everything about women's hoops. Mm-hmm. But I think I choose to believe I was not the only person who did not know that units were not paid to the women's teams. So that should have been known. That should have been publicized for a long time. So kudos to Sedona Prince for starting a movement, really, because that was part of it. But do y'all think, I don't know about this, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But is this issue for units? Did Mark Emmert bring this up before he left?
I don't know.
Or is this just a Charlie Baker thing?
Yeah.
Because if it is, kudos to Charlie Baker for getting this done. Okay.
But I mean, even look at the structure of the women's tournament. Men's tournament, everything's neutral site.
Yeah.
Not the case of a women's tournament.
Well, you and I and Will as well, we've discussed issues about that, and it's just hold that thought. Just hold that thought. All right. Back to it. So-called performance units, which represent revenue, will be given to women's teams playing in the tournament starting this year. The event's, as KP has pointed out, 43rd edition. A team that reaches the Final Four could bring its conference roughly $1.26 million over the next 3 years in financial performance rewards. In the first year, $15 million will be awarded to teams out of the fund, which is 26% of the women's basketball media revenue deal. That will grow to $25 million or 41% of the revenue by 2028. The 26% is on par with what men's basketball teams received the first year the performance units program was established, long ass time ago. But anyway.
Exactly. Like this, it's a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, but
okay. Take these crumbs and you'll like it.
And you like it. Yeah. Teams making this March's NCAA tournament won't actually be paid until the organization has a full tournament of data available. Another issue, what the hell. But the women's March Madness plan is similar to the men's basketball unit program. Each of 32 conferences that receive an automatic bid to the tournament will receive a unit. And additional units will be rewarded for teams that receive at-large bids to the 68-team field, which will grow to 72, 76. That's another story. But anyway, the longer a school's tournament run lasts, the more units the school's conference receives. Conferences decide the distribution of unit revenue to each of its members. Each unit was worth about $2 million for the 2024 men's tournament. Hooray, hooray. And I'll stop right there. Because the men's units are paid out over 6 years. So I was kind of surprised when I'm in the press release that the women's units are just going to be paid out over 3 years. Is that because, why is that? So I got to ask about that. But first things first, it's a start. So, it's a small step of progress. Men's hoops teams now receive 24% of the media rights deal, which is $8.8 billion over 8 years starting this year. Women's hoops is valued at $65 million per tournament in the NCAA's new media rights deal with ESPN, roughly 10 times more than in the contract that ends this year. The women have a higher percentage of the media revenue deal to bolster the value of each performance unit. Okay. That's a good thing, I guess. But The NCAA sharing March Madness revenue with its member schools has long been a feature of the men's tournament. The 2018 tournament, I don't know why I picked that year, but anyway, for example, brought in $844.3 million in TV and marketing rights, the vast majority from a contract with CBS and Turner Sports to televise the games. Most of the money flows through the NCAA to conferences and then back to member schools, more than 300 of which field Division I basketball teams eligible to play in the tournament. The schools mostly reinvest in athletics, from scholarships for athletes in all sports to coaching salaries, training facilities, stadiums, ballparks, and arenas. I think that's all. Yep. So it's great. The coaches, women's hoops coaches, are happy. I texted a few coaches this evening, Wednesday evening, to get their thoughts on it. I'm waiting to hear back from them. Some of them have games. It's great. It is also a sign to reinvest in athletics. And maybe this will be a further boon to administrations to realize how important women's hoops is. Now, Ms. Pulliams asked me to tie it all together. Brother Gibson, I am going to tie it all together. Mm-hmm. And it might not be all roses for my alma mater.
Sure it will be. Yeah. Now, from you,
with the units now will be paid to teams that make the tournament. Barring some surprise, I won't call it the M word, but barring a surprise, the Houston Cougars women's team won't make the tournament. Okay, so they won't receive units this first year of the existence of the units. That'll be 11 years for Coach Huey and the program, to not reach the tournament. That's too long to not reach the tournament. With the new AD, I wonder if this units now being involved for payout will be another point flag for him to maybe decide to move in a different direction. What say you, Willie Gibson? You go first.
I don't know if it should take that, to be honest. I mean, you know how I feel about this guy. I'm not advocating anyone lose their job. However, it's a performance-based business. It's an expectation-based business, not just a performance, but what are the expectations? And perhaps in previous regimes, he's met, or I'm going to try to say this with a straight face, exceeded those expectations and allowed him to remain in his position. But if the new athletic directors come in, I'm quite sure he has expectations of each program at that university. And I can't imagine the current state of that program meets those expectations. So, you know how I feel about it, Chris. I don't see how he stays. I don't see how he stayed thus far. So I can't imagine him staying beyond with a new administration.
KP?
I would say, like, maybe, and I don't know the totality of the Cougars athletic department, but maybe he was able to fly under the radar with substandard performance consistently just because of the other changes within the department. So sometimes it's just like, okay, women's basketball at certain institutions don't really move the needle. So just leave it alone and ignore it. Hence the attendance, because there are other higher profile sports teams who need more coddling, nudging, whether it's staffing change, head coaching changes, or, assistant coaching changes or whatever. That's where the attention and that's where the focus goes. Meanwhile, okay, we'll get to women's basketball when we get to it. But at a certain point in time, it's still costing the university money. Yes. So a change will have to be made, but it's just like, where is women's basketball on the priority list of the to-do list of the new AD?
It's up there. It is on his to-do list, as I called him out at his intro press conference of how important women's basketball was to him, and he said it is very important to him. He said when he was first at New Mexico and the men's program was down, women's basketball was one of the flag bearers of the New Mexico program. So it's important to him. I can't speak for women, and because I'm not a woman. But regarding UH women's athletics, UH basketball, women's basketball specifically, for the life of me, for a long time, President Couture, Renew Couture, a woman, Willie Gibson, Kenitra Pulliams, I don't understand why, getting to Willie's point, why she seemed to not want the expectations she placed on football, on men's basketball. Will, what you say about football coaches? What was her famous line?
8 before get you fired, right? Was it 8
8 before get you fired in football.
Yep.
But she never made any public statements regarding her expectations for women's basketball. I remember the look on her face when I asked a question to Eddie Nunez about, Miss Nunez, how important is women's basketball to you? Her look was, it was like, like a rolling of the eyes kind of a question. Like, so different folks kind of rated her reaction differently. Like was
that a how dare you ask that question? Some
folks thought that kind of reaction. Some folks like, yeah, I'm kind of curious to hear Eddie's answer to this. So, different, you have to see it. And I might send it to you. Because I don't know if I have it on my laptop to pull it up for this show. But her reaction did get attention from folks who've seen the clip.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just it's the like it's an afterthought. So like, let's deal with football first, just because there are more resources allocated towards football. There are more student, in your word, Chris, assets participating in football. So I'm not going to say know your place, but it's just it's a bigger slice of the pie.
Yeah, and clearly, football makes, as Will says, stirs the drink. we understand that. But in other parts of America, women's basketball, college and pro, the pop has erupted in popularity and importance to some of those programs. Some of those programs is more important than men's basketball, some of them. But I do know that there are people in the UH administration who have voiced their opinion, and basically to other administrators, y'all are missing the boat on the importance of women's basketball. So we need to change our thinking and accept or embrace what women's basketball can do for our athletic program. If we get more fans to come to the games, it's going to be a new revenue stream. Will, KP, it's not going to be hundreds of millions of dollars, but you know what? It's better than what it is now. I mean, when you're struggling to get 500 people in the building, when you're struggling to get media besides me attend the games on a consistent basis. So if you give people a reason to, come to the games, you win, you bring in talented players, all those different things, buy tickets, spend on concessions. It becomes a better product and self-sustaining ultimately. So I hope the units that is finally got approved and unanimously got approved will be another factor in a change happening. And I know there are still some folks who defend Coach Huey, Will. Still.
Wow.
And there are still some who are surprised. I think I've mentioned this to Kenitra. I know I have mentioned it to Will, who are surprised that Coach Huey has been head coach at Houston women's basketball the same length of time that Kelvin Sampson has coached the men. It's 11 years. The level of accomplishments between the two programs is not comparable. Okay? Which is another reason why I don't understand the indifference by the administration. Because if you want to compete for championships in all sports, I thought, well, you have one program that's nationally relevant in basketball. And then you have the one down the hall that is pretty much irrelevant in women's basketball. So make it make sense to me. Okay? Right. Like the young folks say, make it make sense to me. But I will say this, and we have time here on this edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover, sponsored by Bayou Beat, BayouBeatNews.com, bringing that Southern love to your daily news coverage. Further to it, Tuesday, Coach Huey and his team defeated the 24th ranked Oklahoma State Cowgirls, 79-76. They led by as much as 26 points in the third quarter, 58-32. They led, listen to this, okay? The final score was 79-76. They led 73-53 with about 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. When I say they held on to win,
you play not to lose instead of playing to win.
They held on. Let me do this. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I hope I can get it. Bring it up. Some of Coach Huey's post-game comments, because some of them, let me see if I can get. You just have to hear it. I hope it works. I hope the volume is good enough. All right, here we go.
To God be the glory. First things first, that Oklahoma State team is really, really, really good. The one thing that you saw on film, besides them making threes and playing inside, outside, those kind of things, they really love playing together. Their culture of what they're building right now with this team is really incredible, and you can see it through film. And it was the one thing that was evident with them when we got up 25 or whatever we were up, for them to fight to come back, because again, that's what they're building over there. But again, I can't say enough about our group. We had some really, really hard practices once we got back. Some hard film sessions as well, just to be able to get them to understand how hard you have to play and for how long. I thought this was the first complete game that we played, 40 minutes. K-State was, 34 minutes. BYU was 33 minutes. Utah, it was 31 minutes. It's those kind of things where you got to play a complete 40-minute game to be able to do that, because all these games are dogfights. But I can't say enough about each and every one of them, from Kiki to Layla to Gigi to Aaliyah to Peyton. All of them came in and they played and they did exactly what we need to do, especially with us getting beat on the board so bad. And they came back and really took care of that, and I think we out-rebounded them tonight. The other thing we wanted to be able to do was win points in the paint. And we were able to do that as well, because we've been losing that battle. But I'm really proud of them and the resilience of our team, and just looking forward to practice tomorrow.
You say it was a complete game, but that fourth quarter got kind of hairy there. So what went right the first 3 quarters and then not right in the fourth quarter?
Well, I think the first 3 quarters, they wasn't pressing. That's the first thing. And once they started pressing, the one thing about us is we've been working on execution, getting it over and executing those kind of things. And so now in press situations, you have to be a little helter-skelter. So when you get 3-on-2s, you got to go. When you get 2-on-1s, you got to go and score. And we came down and we had 2-on-1s and 3-on-2s, and we pulled it back out because they want to execute and those kind of things. But it's the first time that we've been pressed like that all year, and that's the thing that was different for us. We hadn't seen that. But yeah, it got really, really hairy right then and there. The one thing I wanted to make sure I do is just hold on to the timeouts. I thought if I could keep Layla on the floor, she's my anchor to be able to do that, to be able to shoot and be able to navigate. And I thought if I could keep Gigi attacking the basket and Aaliyah Love on the floor just to be able to, so we could switch every single thing. That was the thing that helped us as well. When they went down inside, we couldn't put Peyton back in because it's all guard. So Aaliyah Love allowed us to have an opportunity to play so we could switch it all. And that was another thing and a great factor for us.
Kiki had a great start in that third quarter. Just your thoughts on her overall game?
You know, she's buying into playing defense like she.
I'm gonna stop it right there. Your thoughts on what you just heard?
I don't want to be this guy, but I am. A couple things I heard.
Tell the truth.
Yeah, one of the things I heard was the culture of that team. You can tell they really like each other, and they were. But what's the culture of your team, Coach? You're telling me about the culture of that other team. Can we talk about yours? And then two, when he said, "It's the first time we've seen the press all year," and what do you work on in practice? What are you doing? That
We're in middle January and you're like surprised.
Yes.
I asked him. I stopped it because later on, I asked him about, so do you think other teams will start pressing you now? So his answer, he said, "Oh, for sure," because that's one thing I told.
Oh my God.
And you know, because I'm just gonna do it. Hey, we're recording, we're live, whatever. I'm gonna just scroll through the clip. Okay, so
Expect from that. That's
what we do here.
Throwing it inside to the post, and so they didn't want to go back door. They want to be around to the other side of the floor, and that's what Kiki. The most assists we've had all year. Again, we don't want to get in battles where we wanted to get it to our guard Gigi, and then we had a lead turning the other way.
To kind of calm them down and get them refocused.
It's coming.
The thing that I tried to tell them in the timeouts was just stay focused and understand. Do what we practice. Do your job. We wanted to get it to our guard Gigi, and then we had Aaliyah in the middle, and we had Layla as a reversal person. The thing we started not doing is started trying to not step through the trap and throw it back, or either look to the middle. We kept throwing it back to the inbound every single time instead of looking up the floor because it was coming on us so hard. The thing that we forgot to do, once you invite the pressure, you got room on the sideline. Gigi could have dribbled up the sideline, but she was turning the other way, melting to the pressure. And so we wanted to be able to get them to understand exactly what they were doing. We also wanted to stack in the middle and be able to pop out, be able to have them figure out where we were going so we can be able to get the ball. Again, we got 3 or 4 press breakers in. We went over 1 or 2 today, which y'all saw, because they do 2 different press. They do a diamond press and a 2-2-1, so we prepared for both of those. But we didn't do it with a whole lot of press breakers because we got 3 or 4. Because this one's been working for us. But again, and hats off to them. They put all the guards and they stayed aggressive and came after us. The thing that I didn't anticipate was them, once the ball got in or they got the steal, driving it downhill and getting us in foul trouble. We stopped guarding. And usually when we stop guarding, our shots will start to fall on the other end. But tonight we didn't do that. We fouled, we got back in, we stayed on the attack, and we scored. We want to always let our defense dictate our offense. Stay aggressive and do what we need to do defensively so we can stay aggressive offense practice over the last couple of days, and they got some individuals as well.
And we got just when they started pressing. What's the message to your team kind of in those
here we go.
The most assists we've had all year off the line, and that's the thing that driving and things like that. And that was the key for us.
Would you say that's why you held them?
Wasn't what we needed to be, and now everybody gonna try to press us now. So again, it's something we got to work on for the next couple of days before we get to Baylor.
Well, that was it right there. That's it. Y'all shaking your head.
He just told on himself.
Yes.
So basically, your ball handlers, your point guard, playing hot potato with the ball. I don't want it.
They had 13 turnovers in the fourth quarter. I think that's right. Yeah,
Right.
10-13, yeah, in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
They had taken care of the ball first three quarters. Oklahoma State, toward the end of the third quarter, they began full court press, like the last few seconds.
But I mean, in the
fourth quarter, they turned it loose.
Yeah, in the full interview, that you shared, they have a phrase, gas, get a shot. Okay, well, they ran out of gas in the fourth quarter, and don't say, oh, we played our most complete game. We played 40. No, you didn't. You played 32 minutes of good basketball, maybe 35, and then they panicked.
Yep.
They were fortunate to win.
Yes,
it's
they were.
It's only Oklahoma State's second conference loss. Congratulations on that. You never apologize for winning.
Oh, no, correct.
But it was almost like he was surprised they won or they didn't deserve to win.
Well,
how was practice the day after the game?
That's what I wanted.
Did they work on press break?
That's what I wanted.
Right.
I need to text him and ask him how it went.
Situational coaching.
Because, Will, it was maybe an 8-point game with under a minute. Something like that. 7 or 8 points under a minute. And they didn't do a poor job at the free throw line. Oklahoma State got hot. They finally made threes. Oklahoma State made 4 threes in the first quarter. 1 in the second quarter. So they were at halftime, I think maybe like 5 for 16 from 3. They missed like their next 12 three-point attempts.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of the reason why they fell behind. They made 2 in like the last minute. And that's how it became a 3-point game. Turnovers, driving to the hoop, attacking the Cougars defense. The Cougs' last turnover, Will, happened with 5 seconds left. 5 seconds left. So Oklahoma State had a chance to tie the game. And their best player, Staley Hurd, she got the steal, dribbled up, launched a 3, and it just bounced off.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's an unbalanced schedule. Is there a return game in Stillwater?
I'm not sure. I think so. They played twice last year, so maybe not this year. And the Cougs won in Stillwater last year. But Coach Hoyt, J.C. Hoyt, said after the game that the slow start was her fault. She took ownership from her team's poor play. She said practice was day before the game. Practice was not good.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I asked her if she thought her players took the Cougars for granted. And that's because of the slow start. The Cougars win over Oklahoma State was their first Big 12 win this season.
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma State was ranked.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Hoyt said she did not believe the players took the Cougars lightly. However, the Cougars weren't as focused. That's kind of the same thing, ain't it?
I mean, publicly she's going to say, no, our players, because out of respect. Because you're not going to be like, we just knew all we had to do was show up and we were going. You're not going to say now in that locker room. I'm sure her message was different.
Her message was different a little bit because even publicly she said she wishes that her team had more players were as tough as Staley Hurd. Well, Coach, that's kind of like a bus toss to me, right?
Well, I mean, Coach Hoyt is no Mick Cronin.
Well, no. There are very few like Mick Cronin. But so yeah. Long story, we discussed it. The Cougs under Coach Huey defeated 24th ranked Oklahoma State 79-76. They held on, but it's still a win.
Right.
And hopefully they'll work on their press. And my goodness, Oklahoma State's pressure defense is not the same as West Virginia's pressure defense. They get after it. So much so, I want to say last year in the first quarter, when the Cougs played at WVU, the Cougs scored 0 points in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Will, 0.
I mean, Baylor's gonna bring it.
They will now. If they're not, they had thought about Coach Collin. They will. Yep, that's Friday. So they're going to get it done. Oh boy, yeah.
But going back to our first segment, there's also a difference in, or a fiduciary responsibility of just, rather than having to buy out a coach, just let the contract run out.
Yes.
And just save some money.
Mm-hmm.
And I glancing at it, the Cougars do not go to Stillwater.
Okay. So it would be the Big 12 tournament.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Bottom of the hour of this edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover, sponsored by Bayou Beat, streaming on Roku via the BS3 network. And if you are wondering, viewers, Chris, what is the BS3? I'm going to first encourage you, if you have Roku, to download the BS3 app. Just download it. BS3 TV. If not, you can go to bs3network.com or bs3tvlive.com. And now I'm going to play you a promo to give you more info about what BS3 is all about. Be back in 35 seconds.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
Welcome back to the Houston Roundball Review Takeover, sponsored by Bayou Beat, BayouBeatNews.com. Bayou Beat, bringing that Southern love to your daily news coverage. First part of the show, this edition of Throwback Thursday of the Takeover, powered by JM&E. My colleagues Willie Gibson and Kenitra Pulliams have been talking about women's hoops. The good news of the NCAA finally approving units to go to the teams that advanced through the NCAA tournament, and also the Houston Cougars women's team. Now we're going to talk some football. College football first, because Mr. Gibson's alma mater is playing for something kind of important on the 20th, right?
Yep, Monday night.
And tell me about that, sir. Tell me about the Buckeyes facing Notre Dame. The Ohio State.
Oh, just a little water, bro. A little water. Yeah. We talked a lot about women's hoops earlier. Had to,
Well, they're good too up there too. But yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, finished up the semifinal over the. Who they playing in the semifinal? Texas. The Longhorns. Yeah.
KP's alma mater.
What?
Mm-hmm.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, they did. In Dallas.
Jerry World.
Wow. So everybody from Texas converged in Jerry World, and little old Ohio came up there and took care of business. But they all is well in Buckeye land. Old Columbus Town right now. They're playing for the national championship. Wasn't that way? Say about 4:00 on November 30th. It wasn't that way.
Mm-hmm.
But all is well. All is well. They take care of 2 SEC teams along the way. Also took care of the number 1 seed. Still strange to say, conference foe Oregon in the Rose Bowl. And now they go to Atlanta, who they will face in Atlanta in the national championship. Former Buckeye Marcus Freeman and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. So don't take them for granted. The talent Notre Dame is dealing with a rash of injuries right now on their offensive line, defensive line, team wide. But Marcus Freeman has those guys believing. I'm not willing to just push it it's going to be a game Monday night. It's going to be a game.
KP, what say you about the matchup?
About the one on Monday?
Yes.
I mean, number one, I think it's remarkable that Marcus Freeman is the first Black head coach to coach in a CFP or BCS national championship game. You know, the matchup against Penn State, you know, in the other semifinal game. I mean, it was great to see, you know, two head coaches, you know, squaring off in that one. So at least you were guaranteed for one. So I mean, you know, so yeah, you have all the storylines there. You have that, and you have Marcus Freeman, you know, as Willie mentioned, going, you know, playing his alma mater, you know, for the first title. So it's what he's done in 3 years is admirable. And
I'm glad you brought that up. And I know some folks say, well, he's also the first Asian in America. But
he'll remind you.
Yes. The Houston Roundball Review, owned by me, yours truly, Chris Gardner. I'm going to say it more and more this year. I mentioned it. A viewer mentioned it in comments with me and AD Moore. We talked about on the corner. For those who don't know, I don't know how could you not know, but the Houston Roundball Review is independently owned. But just as important, if not more so, it's proudly Black owned.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I'm proud of it. I was born Black. I'm going to die Black. In between, I'm going to stay Black. Some folks may not like that. That's okay. You don't have to watch the show. You know, Bayou Beat News. Nakia Cooper is proud. She had mentioned it on her website, and her publications. Black owned. Just saying all these. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not one of those folks say I'm colorblind. I like green. Okay? I love green. Real talk. So if you want to advertise on this show, advertise on other shows, email me. advertise@thehrr.com. Yes. So, but don't get it twisted. Don't be shocked, Chris. I couldn't believe you said what you said. You must be new to this, because like I said, I'm true to it. So I'm not going to, hey, you get what you get. You support the Houston Roundball Review. Okay? As Willie has said many times about me, sometimes I can be, what is it, Will? Petty tendergrass. I can be petty tendergrass. I can be that too.
Petty tendergrass.
But there are ways to support the Houston Roundball Review, 6 different ways. Easiest one, go to the Women's Who's blog, the Men's Who's blog, website, HoustonRoundballReview.com, and click on the ads. Easy peasy. Doesn't cost you a dime. Just click on the ads. Click on them till you can't click anymore. Or you can buy some merch, like me in this mug right here. Do that. Or you can support via PayPal, Zelle, Cash App. I love doing this too. There's ways to do that. As I'm independent, got to keep the lights on, Will, KP. Yeah. And way to do that, you support the Houston Roundball Review. Do things that way. This way, you can purchase a listing in the Houston Roundball Review business directory. $50, $50, okay? You can support these shows, the live stream shows, all those different things. You can purchase via the website affiliate like Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and oh, by the way, the Cougars men's games. 8 of them, conference games, are on ESPN Plus. Some fans are upset at that. Well, hey, how come they're disrespecting the Cougs like that? You got to give people a reason to buy ESPN Plus. I mean, so you got to spread the wealth around sometimes. So you can get ESPN Plus for a month or so via the links posted on the Houston RoundballReview.com website. And the banner features Mr. Hunter Dickinson and LJ Cryer. And for some reason, the Wichita State Shock mascot. I don't know. So you got 2 Big 12 players and the Shock mascot in the AAC. Whatever. But Brother Gibson brought up Dallas and football and Jerry World and Jerry Jones. What do y'all believe are the chances of a certain head coach from Colorado becoming the new head coach of the Dallas Cowboys?
Jay Norville? No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
That was good.
Yeah.
Coach Prime. He has met with Jerry. They have talked.
Yeah, they talked. I'm
not sure how serious, but
Jerry also requested to interview Robert Saleh. Actually, interviews later this week, I believe. But I don't know. I think it's contingent on what Jerry can do to get Shedeur, and I don't know that Jerry can pull that off.
Fair, KP. What say you? What are the chances of Coach Prime coaching the Cowboys?
It depends on how much freedom he is given, and Jerry doesn't like giving up power.
Yeah.
Also true, which is another reason why the Cowboys have stunk for so long. And
yeah, I mean, reportedly,
my face.
Yeah, reportedly, going to go talk to Kellen Moore, one of their own, who has a good relationship with Dak Prescott. But the whole way it went down with Mike McCarthy. So last week, Chicago Bears asked for permission. Jerry's like, no. And then
which we discussed last week.
Yeah. So then the window closes for you to strike a new deal with McCarthy. Then you're like, all right, we don't want you. Go. So now he can go talk to the Bears.
Yeah.
Jerry being Jerry. Well, sometimes I love her to death, but sometimes KP is not as forthcoming in predictions like you are.
Mm-hmm.
So, Brother Gibson, Texans at Chiefs.
Man.
Chiefs, right? Is there any surprises of these four? The home team is favored, I think, in all four.
Watch the Rams.
Okay. KP, you agree with that?
Yeah, like what they did to Minnesota, yeah.
How about the Ravens' chances?
That's a game. See that to me, that should be the AFC Championship game.
Interesting.
Much like Oregon, Ohio State should have been, at the very least, a semifinal game.
Yeah. Great.
What do either one of y'all or both of y'all, what chances do y'all give my newly once again, I'm back proud to being a fan of the Washington NFL franchise, not only the Commanders? What chances do y'all give? I don't give them.
Oh, I'll give them a shot. I'll give them a shot.
The cardiac Commanders?
Yeah.
Hey, win is a win. Upright, sir. Whatever. Jaden is the real deal. He is the real deal. They got that right for sure.
Yep.
But Texas Chiefs. Will?
Until they lose, I got to rock with KC.
All right. Ravens Bills.
Bills.
KP, Texans Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Ravens Bills.
So like Josh Allen wins MVP and the Ravens win, or Lamar Jackson wins MVP and the Bills win.
Yeah.
I'd say Bills, just because of location.
Commanders at Lions.
Detroit.
Will?
Same.
Rams Eagles.
Rams.
I'd say Rams.
All right. That would hurt my heart to have both NFC East teams lose in the divisional round, but all right, that's fair. Okay.
Oh, and look at that. So that being said, is Matthew Stafford going to Detroit for the NFC Championship game? Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, that'd be fun. That would be fun. That'd be interesting.
Very interesting.
All right, these final moments of this edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover, sponsored by Bayou B. Colorado is latest school to ditch NIL collective ahead of the House settlement. And this is by David Rumsey from Front Office Sports, and they're quick to point out it's an exclusive. Okay, Front Office Sports, y'all say so. But Colorado has become the latest Power 4 university to cut ties with its official NIL collective as athletic departments nationwide prepare for the impact of the House versus NCAA settlement, which should be finalized later this year. Well, April 7th, I think is the date. Fresh off the football team's Alamo Bowl appearance and Travis Hunter's Heisman Trophy, Colorado is changing its strategy in the NIL era less than 10 months after launching the 5430 Alliance Collective. Quote from the AD for the Buffs, Rick George: "We are structuring our NIL procedures in order to be prepared for the changes to come." Told in the email to Front Office Sports. The settlement, the House versus NCAA settlement, will allow schools to pay athletes up to $22 million annually. That's total across all sports programs through revenue sharing. Athletes will still be able to make money from NIL deals, and schools could choose to keep working with a collective to help facilitate funds beyond that $22 million annual sum. But players will be able to get paid directly by their schools, which had not previously been the case. Mr. Buckeye.
Yep.
Where do things stand with Ohio State and collectives, and possibly ending their collectives and making everything simpler regarding revenue sharing?
Well, the collectives are still in place, both the 1870 Society and the Foundation. There's kind of been some collective on collective crime, if you will. But that's all squashed. We're all good now. It's all in love, peace and love, peace and love. So, but no, both collectives are still up and running. Ross Bjork, the new athletic director here at Ohio State, is adamant about that $22 million payment that's upcoming. He's let it be known, all lines of communication are open. Everything's on the table. Naming rights, which appear to name the Horseshoe Ohio Stadium naming rights. Oh, well, safe flight, auto glasses on the field, nationwide insurance is on the scoreboard, but they don't want to put naming rights on the stadium. No, not the Horseshoe. He has started the 1870 Club. The 1870 Club is a club with game day opportunities to be part of the stadium. At Ohio Stadium, the lower level of the stadium, they've converted into a club, if you will. Last time I checked, the dues were $4,500 yearly to join. You will have per ticket. So if you and a guest come to a game and you have a 1870 Club membership, your guest has to wait outside. Or if you want to pay $9,000 for 2 memberships, they can come with you.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going down. It's going down here in old Columbus town. But so he's been very, very forthright with his plans. He's been very transparent that this is what it's going to take. That's why it was difficult, kind of going back to the football piece. Everyone's talking about after Ohio State lost to the rival. Oh, you got to fire coach. You got to fire Ryan Day. You got to fire Ryan Day. Ryan Day had a $37 million buyout. That's just not sitting on the coffee table here in Columbus. It's not. Right. It's not. And that's his buyout. Probably his staff would have been another $13 million. Mm-hmm. So $50 million, and then you got to pay the new coach. Mm-hmm. It's not gonna happen. And by the way, Ryan Day at that time was 66-10. All right. Okay. So,
and that's Ohio State, viewers. That's not the University of Houston. folks talking about, oh, just pay the buyout.
Nah.
Okay, y'all put up the money then.
Right. And even in that, the FOPs, as I like to call them, the friends of the program, checkbooks were getting a little tired. Like,
Sure.
What am I getting for my $300,000? I write my $300,000 check, but what am I getting for that now? No one talks about our state spent $20 million on NIL and football team. Well, Oregon spent $23 million. Texas spent $22 million, if I remember right. And Ohio State spent their $20 million to keep their team.
Right.
They brought in 5 players from other schools out of the portal. That $20 million was for Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau. Those are the players. Trevion Henderson. Those players got a lion's share of that $20 million. That's Quinshon Judkins came, Seth McLaughlin came, Will Howard came. But majority of that $20 million was in-house.
KP, what are your thoughts on collectives ending?
Yeah, I mean, Kansas just did the same thing last week. They got rid of their collective.
All right, Texas Tech the Matador Club is ending as well in Lubbock.
And so university president and AD said basically they got rid of their collective because the collective wasn't designed for revenue sharing now. Basically, it was designed as a fundraising arm, and so they're going with an entity that has more experience as far as landing those corporate sponsorship deals. That'll be better suited to have them competitive. I mean, because at the same time, not only making this transition from a financial standpoint, they're also redoing the stadium in 3 phases, and so first phase is supposed to be completed in August, or by August, shall I say. And they still haven't disclosed where the money's going to come from to complete phase 2 and phase 3 and the conference center and the hotel they want to build and the apartments and student housing and the parking. So that's still to be determined. Oh, by the way, we still need fan support to donate to NIL and open your pocketbooks to pay for a new stadium.
And to wrap it up, Eddie Nunez, the AD, said to Joseph Duarte that UH is all in on revenue sharing. First year, they're going to be about $18 million, not maybe the full $20 million. That's fluid.
And how is that allocated?
And his is different. I got the slide. Let's see if I can get it up because I want to. The percentage he's going to give to men's basketball, one scenario being discussed, is close to 25% for men's hoops rather than like the 15% that other schools have been talking about. Because UH men's basketball is elite. UH men's basketball is nationally relevant. But football won't be at a disadvantage. But, when you hire the wrong coach for a while, it kind of hurts your program. Not you have the right coach, a good coach in charge, and let him do his thing. It'll be fine eventually. Fans need to buy tickets and sell out the stadium because that revenue could be revenue that athletics can count on year to year if you sell out the stadium. Will, as Will knows.
Is it in direct proportion to operational cost of each program?
Great question. Probably not. I have so many questions. I want to talk to Ms. Nunez about this, interview. But that's for another show.
Because then do you still have to be Title IX compliant?
Oh, they will be Title IX compliant. That's for sure. He has said that. This has been very educational. Willie Gibson, Kenitra Williams, thank you for joining this edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover, sponsored by Bayou Beat, BayouBeatNews.com. Bayou Beat News, bringing that Southern love to your daily news coverage. Brother Gibson, how can folks find you on social media? Have you changed?
I have not. I have not. Thank you again for the opportunity, as always, to join this illustrious panel. You can find me as the Cross States Will Gibson 7 on Twitter, Facebook Will Knows, and on Instagram Will Knows Sports, and Threads as well, Will Knows Sports.
Miss Pulliams, have you found you a platform yet?
Nope.
Have you checked out what I sent you?
I have.
Yeah. Okay. Is that a possibility
Still
for you?
doing my due diligence.
Okay, that is fair enough. All right, everyone. I am KG Chris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. Thank you for watching us today on the Takeover, sponsored by Bayou Beat, powered by JM&E. Tell your friends about this show. Get the BS3 app on Roku. Spread the word about the Takeover. If you want to advertise on the show, advertise on other shows. Because this is a business, and hey, I'm independently owned. Advertise at thehrr.com. But wrapping it up, since 1994, the Houston Roundball Review. Local name, global perspective. Everyone, take care. Peace.